It's now my pleasure to introduce the man in the straw hat, an advocate, a community advocate who focuses on racial justice and housing equality, Kyle Bennett.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name's Kyle Bennett, and I'd like to thank Gary, Marty, all the organizers that have been here and working behind the scenes to make today possible. All of the speakers, particularly our members of the youth delegation, we appreciate you, we follow you. And all of you who've taken time out of your day to come out and help save our post office, but more importantly, save our U.S. postal system. Give yourselves a round of applause. We need you. Today, for just a second, as we stand here together, I'd like to talk about making America great again. 4 years ago, that was the campaign slogan from some guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. 4 years ago, I think what was going through his mind at the time, when was America so great that you'd want to go back to that? Was it the time when Benjamin Franklin was the Postmaster General and he personally hand-delivered letters to people in his community because the service and sacrifice meant that much to him? Was it the time when other great Americans like Abraham Lincoln, or one of my favorites, Sherman Hemsley, was a short-timer at the Postal Service delivering packages to people in their communities because the service meant that much to them, but more importantly because the promise of the job was that if you show up every day, if you deliver the mail, all of it, every day, by the time you get to retirement, that the postal system will have your back. You will have a pension and a benefit package that will see you through retirement. Now, I wonder if that was the type of greatness they sought when they said, let's make America great again. Or was it the time when it was commonplace for groups of white men to track down black men and kill them by hanging? Was it the time when the plantation owner snuck into the living quarters of the people they had enslaved and raped black women? Was that the time they sought to go back to? Or was it the time when a white woman could walk across the street and claim that a young black boy called her out of her name or whistled to her from across the street and galvanized the community of angry mobsters to come after this young boy and beat him to a pulp? Is that the kind of greatness that they're talking about? Because that's not America. That's not America, but it is part of our past. It is part of the dark days of American history. And I would argue today that America is great already, that America has always been great, in spite of our dark past. I would argue today that America has never been greater than it is today. The fact that we're gathered here, assembled under the First Amendment protection of freedom of speech and the right to protest, the right to gather, it makes America great. And this is why America's great, not because of those other things. I argue that America's great because our senior citizens, as it's already been spoken, our fastest growing demographic, have stood together and said, we will not tolerate the disassembly of our postal system. We will not lose the promise that America's made to us, that you will send our payments, our Social Security and our pension checks on time, that you will not deliver our medications on time, that you will not deliver our ballots on time. Our senior citizens have stood up. The members of the armed forces and our veterans have also stood up. And they said that we have fought for and continue to fight for wars against crimes against humanity. We have not done this in vain. We've done this so that America will remain great and that everybody else can be better. We will not stand idly by while this system of attack is purposely delivered upon our democracy. I wonder what type of greatness was being considered when they used the phrase, make America great again. Our youth, as we've seen today, stand up, organize, and assemble, and they lead the way. They lead the way to making America great again. I have to say, is this the type of America that they sought out when they said, make America great again? It's interesting that as we stand here today, underneath General Burnside, and we think about where he came from. General Burnside was from South Carolina. His father was a slave owner. He was a general in the American Revolutionary War. His father sold his plantation, freed his slaves, and moved to Indiana. He didn't do that because he wanted the old America, the old colonial way, the old to be great again. He did that because he recognized that change had to come. He did that because he recognized that humanity was not something we could quantify based on the color of our skin. He did that because he wanted his family and his country to be great. When General Burnside led efforts in North Carolina and Tennessee, he didn't do that in support of slavery. He did that in opposition to slavery. So as we stand here protecting and fighting for our post office, we stand here under men who are not whole and not imperfect, without a doubt. They are imperfect, as we all are. But we do that in concert with the spirit of making and keeping America great. We do that to ensure that our way of life, our democracy, continues. America is all of that and so much more. America is a place where democracy reigns, but dialogue rules. We don't always agree, but we have to engage in the dialogue. And that's what makes America great. The spirit of dialogue, the spirit of cooperation. I may not win every day. I may not be part of every demographic that matters to every person in this country. But just as General Burnside and his family faced a civil war, we're at war today. We're at war against injustice. We're at war against peace. We're at war against the way of living that makes us American. This is a country of immigrants. This is a country that was founded on the principle of immigration. How can we now turn our backs on the very people that made us who we are? We're also a country of Native Americans. How can we not give them the support that they deserve? How can we not re-entitle them and reappropriate the lands that they need access to, the water systems that they need to survive? How can we give them land and tell them that they have a government and then still rule over sovereignty? That's not American. We've got to get back to what America means. And I'll tell you, we're going to start today by reclaiming our postal system. We're going to start today by reclaiming our postal system. We're going to start today by reclaiming our postal system. And then we're going to vote. We're going to vote on September 8th. Whether it's in person, early in person, mail ballot, we're going to vote. But I'll tell you what, that's not enough. We've got to challenge every single person we know to do the same. Regardless of political persuasion, regardless of ideology, they must vote, and they must vote for America. We've got to preserve this way of life, or guess what? In 4 more years, this could all be gone. The freedoms that you enjoy today could be no more. Vote on September 8th. Vote on November 3rd. Bring your family and friends and everybody you know. Tell them they must vote, and they must vote American. Thank you.